In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use xUnit to test an existing ASP.NET Core website. I have an existing website that allows me to connect to an Azure database. So this is your default install, home, privacy, and then books is the custom. Books will connect to my Azure database and then pull down a custom view I built on Henry Books' database. Henry Books, of course, is from Philip Pratt's excellent Guide to SQL. Everything works here because it's just default boilerplate with Entity Framework. So I'm going to demonstrate how to build a straightforward xUnit test on these. All right, so I'm going to start my project. Okay, so I'm in my project. I'm going to right-click my solution. Oops, that's not my solution. Right-click my solution. I'm going to do Add New Project. And it's going to pop up. I'm going to select an xUnit test for C#. So make sure it says C#. If it doesn't, and you don't see it, just search for it up here. And you'll be able to find what you're looking for. So xUnit test project, next it. Give it a name. Henry test project's good for me. Next it. Pick your framework. And then, boom, you're in the code. Okay, not done yet. I need to add some properties to the tutor projects. So I'm going to take a look at my test project here. I'm going to right-click my dependencies. I'm going to add a dependency here. So add project reference, and I pick my Henry project. This is going to allow Henry test project to look up here in the Henry practice 2. All right, now I might need to add some testing tools in my project. So I'm going to go over here to my tools menu, nuget package manager. I like the manage. I don't like the console. So what I'm going to add in here is MVC testing. So I'm going to search for, first one's even installed. So no package installed. So I'm going to go find it. And after testing, this is the one I want. Microsoft ASP.NET Core MVC testing. That I'm going to add to my project. I'm using version 6, so I'm going to go back to 6. This is ASP.NET 6. I've learned not to mix and match versions here. Come back here to installed. There it is. You can pull other tools, etc., out there, the mock, etc. I chose again 6 because I've got ASP.NET 6 and I've had trouble crossing version numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to continue to expose my project to the test. I'm double click on the project, and this takes me into the package file. And I'm going to come down here in my item group. I'm going to add an item group. Context sensitive help is wonderful when it works. And I'm going to add in here internals visible to include equal to the name of my other project, which is Henry Test Project. Adding that in also opens up the ability for the stuff inside my project to be seen down inside of Henry. Theoretically, that also opens up anything that's public or private and internal, etc. Now I'm going to come down here to my Henry test project. And I'm going to open up the project file. I'm going to add a using. I'm going to add in Microsoft MVC Core net testing. All right, so we're getting there. Now we've got the project set up, and now we need to write the test. If you've worked with xUnit, you understand that facts become tests, theories become a series of tests. So if you're familiar with that, that's great. If not, I have other videos that you can go look at. So now I want to connect this further. So I'm going to connect this to and inherit off of iClass fixture. Oops, not there. Off the class iClass fixture. I'm going to use Web Application Factory. I'm going to select Program. Which in that case will be Henry Practice. There we go. Becomes Henry Practice 2. The factory is going to be used to generate a lot of the stuff that we connect to above. All right, so now in here I'm going to create a factory. Private read-only Web Application Factory. Program underscore factory. Okay. So again, we're going to use that throughout. I'm going to go to constructor now to settle this up. Nice default constructor. And inside of my default constructor, I'm going to set factory. All right. So we'll be able to use this factory later on in the project. This basically is opening up my entire project, my ASP project, for this particular test. And that's what I want. You can control this and open up only specific items, but I want the whole thing open. All right, so what I want to do in this first test is I want to check to make sure that my /books and costs index returns a 200 OK status. So essentially, when I run this test, or excuse me, run the project, as you saw, it'll come back up here in a moment, and we'll see what I'm referring to. All right, so the page loaded. I'm going to check to make sure that books launches. So when I click books here, see my URL is books, book and costs, all lowercase. I want to verify that loads. Now I can see that it loads, but I want to test to prove that it loads. So I'm going to copy that URL. Let's start my project again. All right, so I'm going to build a test. I'm going to modify this test. I already have a fact. So and you should name your tests something that tells you what you're testing. Test book and cost loads. If you know anything about xUnit, you know that they like the arrange, act, assert logic. Where arrange, you set up the test, act, you run the test, and assert, you check the values. I'm going to use my factory here to build myself an HTTP client. I'll use the help. So that sets up the ability for me to connect and run HTTP. If you know anything about HTTP connection, you know I need to extend a request and then get a response. We'll do that right here. So the response is going to be what I get back from my page. Now I use get async here. Book and make sure you get that right. booking costs. Good, I got that right. And then we'll slash index, because that's the first page that loads, of course. And then I'm going to get the code off of that. So status code is one of the properties of response. Why don't you like ints? Okay. So I'll get the code back, and I'll assert it. I actually put that line in the wrong place. Assert.equal 200 code. So I should actually put this up here, because it's part of the act. Okay, so running my project. Oops, I don't need to run the project. The client will run the project for me. So I'll let this load and I'll stop it. And I will do test, run all tests. I'll pause while this loads. All right, so test loads. I found the test. It ran my test, and I spelled it wrong. Test boo and cost loads. So I definitely pass. If you haven't seen a test failure here in xUnit, it changes from 200 to 404. Everybody's favorites. Save it, rerun my test. I can run all tests with this drop. I can just rerun this test by right-clicking it and just run that test. I can repeat the last. There's a number of things you can do in this test runner. So now I run this, and it'll find my test, and it'll run it. And when I click on this, expected 400, actuality got 200. All right, so the test runner here is a pretty nice situation. I can dock this if need be. Okay, so now I'm going to build a theory test using this trick. And then I will build a test that searches for content. I'm going to dock this so it gets out of my face. Okay, so a theory test is a bunch of questions you ask of your particular scenario. So I'm going to say theory. And what you got to do with theory is you got to create a bunch of inline data. I'm going to check to see that all of these pages load. So I'm going to do inline data, make sure the root loads. I'm going to check the privacy loads. I'm going to check the content loads. You get it. And then I'm also going to check this side again loads. Even though it's up here, I'm going to move it down to here, put it into my theory test. So since I'm going to move my test down, I'm going to have to ignore the other test. When I do a theory, I need to pass in a URL, or I need to pass in a parameter. However many parameters I have in mainline data, I have to have one parameter that matches that. So instead of book cost index here, I'll use the URL variable. Why are you angry at me? I forgot async. That's why it was angry at me. So this will be my test. I'm going to check each URL. I'm going to ignore my original test because I've moved it down. So I'm going to skip this test, and I do so by leaving it as a fact. And I'll skip, give it a reason. So I'll move my test down to theory. All right, so we're ready to go. Let's test it. Save it. Come down here. I'll move this up a little. I'll run my tests. I'll give it a minute to run. Run all tests. That was bizarre. Okay, so 2 pages load. 2 do not load. So the URL for content and privacy both fail, which I didn't expect, but that's why you write tests. You write tests to verify that stuff works or does not work. When I come back here to my output, I would have to see that, but I know that these 2 pages don't work right, so I'd have to look and see why. But my test found that for me, as opposed to me opening up each individual page. So this is a nice way to verify that you can check each page. All right, so last one I want to do is I want to test content inside of the page. Basically, I want to see that a particular book is on the page. To do so, I'll build another theory test, but I have to use another tool. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this guy, just to get out of my face. So my theory is to look for 3 tests and get any inline data. You may have as many things in this parentheses as you want. I'm just choosing to use single words. In other videos, I do more inline data. So I'm searching for partial titles of books. I'm going to use a contains clause to find this. JAWS should fail because I don't think JAWS is in my database. All right, so I'm searching for those 4 guys. Okay, so I need to connect to the client to build this. The default factory client doesn't always do a good job of reading the page. So I'm going to create a new client. So let's scroll up to my top here. Let's add a couple variables. Private read only. I'm going to use HTTP clients. You may need to import that. So I'm going to pull that in just in case. But it should be up in there. So I've got my HTTP client. And then I'll use it down in my constructor. So this will create me an HTTP client based on the factory that connects to my web page. I'll use that down here to connect. Again, search arrange, act, and assert. I've already pretty much set up my connection. I just simply have to connect to it. So we know this page loads, but now I'm going to search individual parts of this page. I'm going to pull the page content out. So I'm basically reading the entire HTML out. This includes the head, the foot, the whole bit. This will include everything you get here. And then I'm going to search to see if it's in there. So I've converted over to string. So I should string that. And then I'll assert. I use dot contains here instead of dot equals. So I'll run all my tests. There we go. Found 9 tests because of all my theories. I care about tests for books. Why didn't you run? Okay. Band of Brothers failed because I put in a bizarre character. Harry Potter's failed. That's interesting. Jaws failed. The only one that passed was Jazz. So my contains isn't working as I expected. Band of Brothers, because again I have a weird F there. Let's see if it runs. Okay, so Band of Brothers works. Harry Potter fails. Jaws fails. Harry Potter surprised me. I wonder if it's just another problem with a bizarre character I have whenever I type. I have an add-on that puts in special characters when I press the spacebar a certain way. Why doesn't my Potter one run? There it is. Okay, so it doesn't run. So I'd have to figure out why it doesn't find those. So the test would tell me to go out and look on my document to see what's going on here. But you see how I can set these up and I can use my different client to read the content of the page. All right, so good luck with xUnit. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.